Iran Talks. Today we have the honor of hearing from a distinguished scholar whose breadth of expertise and commitment to her field is truly inspiring. Before introducing our esteemed speaker, we will hear a welcome speech by Associated Professor Ebu Bekir Ceylan, Vice President of GrantsInstitute Association and Board Member of Istanbul Forum. Please, Professor, the floor is yours.
Distinguished guests, esteemed colleagues and dear friends, thank you very much, first of all, for participating in today's event. In fact, I would like to thank you in a special manner because today in Istanbul we have rainy and stormy weather, and when it rains in Istanbul, then the traffic becomes paralyzed. Unfortunately, we have few audiences, but we are broadcasting this event. Inshallah, it is recorded and it will be available on internet so that many people can watch it later on. As many of you know, GrantsInstitute Association was founded in 2013 with the aim of bringing together an important group of human resources, and the founders of this association were the leaders of the youth movement in the 1990s. GrantsInstitute has a wide network, not only in Turkey but also abroad. In every city of Turkey we have a representative and a board of committee, and more than 60 countries we have representatives. And this year we have the motto of internationalization. And in the last 2 and 3 years, GrantsInstitute gave importance to academic activities. In the last 2 years, we organized more than 20 workshops and international symposiums. And we tried to prepare the reports of these workshops and symposiums and present them to the related ministries in Turkey and the decision makers so that they take action regarding the issues discussed in these workshops and symposiums. Hopefully, we are going to organize a big international symposium at the end of this year, what we call Istanbul Forum. It will be a 3-day symposium, and we have approximately more than 100 participants, half of which will come, inshallah, from abroad. And we are going to host the leaders of the Islamic movements, NGOs, and many academics from the different parts of the Islamic geography. In this regard, we aim to discuss the problems of the Muslim community, contemporary Islamic societies, and we have the perspective of bilgi, irade, düzen, knowledge, will, and order. How knowledge is produced in the Islamic communities, whether we copy it from the Western societies or not, whether it is possible to reproduce knowledge in the Islamic world, or do we have a will to do it? And we will also discuss the possibilities of creating a new order based on this knowledge and will. In this regard, there will be not only different sessions on, let's say, Gaza or the international system after in the post-Gaza period, but also there will be discussions on the different examples from the Islamic geographies, Islamic universities, Islamic banks, or Turkey as an Islamic country. These are the only some examples to be discussed in this Istanbul Forum. that will be organized between 13th and 15th of December at the end of this year. And on the way to Istanbul Forum, we organized Istanbul Forum talks. Today we are going to have the fourth of these talks, and Professor Elmira has accepted our offer and to speak in this series. I'm very grateful to her. Thank you very much for accepting our offer. And in one of our Istanbul Forum talks, we had earlier hosted Muhammad Osman Taki from Pakistan. And again, in this hall, he gave a wonderful lecture. And I believe that today we will benefit a lot from this speech as well. I don't want to prolong my speech, therefore let me stop here and invite Professor Elmira, and let us listen to her. Thank you very much.
Before inviting our dearest professor, let me introduce her. Of course. We will now have the privilege of hearing from Professor Elmira AKHMETOVA. She is a distinguished academic in the study of Islam with a focus on Russia, Islamic political thought, and Muslim minority rights. Currently, serving as the Director of Research and Grants at IKI Academy, Professor AKHMETOVA has held prestigious positions worldwide, reflecting her international academic impact. She was a senior research fellow at the Freiburg Institute for Advanced Studies and Humboldt Fellow in Germany from 2021 to 2023. Her academic journey has also included significant roles at institutions such as International Islamic University of Malaysia, the University of South Australia, and the International Institute of Advanced Islamic Studies at Malaysia. Professor AKHMETOVA's contribution to the academic world are significant. She has authored several books and over 70 research articles and book chapters, covering a diverse range of topics including Quranic studies, Islam in Russia, gender issues in Islam, diplomacy, and civilization studies. Her work is recognized for its depth, interdisciplinary approach, and relevance to contemporary issues. Today, Professor AKHMETOVA will share her insights on Islam in Russia, historical and contemporary issues, and this is a topic of a great importance, not only for understanding the historical fabric of the region, but also for addressing the challenges and opportunities faced by Muslim communities in contemporary Russia. I also wanted to add that at the end of the presentation, we will have an opportunity to have a Q&A session, and there you will be able to ask your questions. And also we are now live on YouTube, and you are welcome to ask your questions online. And please join me in welcoming Professor Elmira AKHMETOVA. Please, Professor, the floor is yours. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. First of all, I wanted to thank you for inviting here, and actually this is the first time I'm meeting people at the Istanbul Forum, and thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. Because you know, talking about how Muslims are living in other countries, and what the experience they were also sharing, for example, or from the other perspective, what we can learn from these people is also very good for us. I mean, to look into the side of the world, what is happening, because you know, when we are learning more about the other countries, about the conditions in other countries, we start appreciating where we are living actually. This always happens to me, and I am really thankful to the organizers this is the, and also my moderator, my friend for many years, is the Binazir, also Dr. Binazir, Dr. Ayaz also for inviting to the Jahannuma. And at the same time, I am very happy also to give this talk here at ISAM, the İslam Araştırmalar Merkezi, because I was coming to this institute when I was doing my master's degree. And it's how we meet there with the Professor Aydın Topalov, like here, isn't it? The first time. It's almost 20 years ago. And this is again, I am here. And so today we will speak about Islam in Russia, historical and contemporary issues. So some people ask me, what you are going to talk, are you going to give from the positive perspective or the negative perspective? It was very interesting question at the beginning. I said, of course, from the positive perspective, because especially when we are studying history, because this is the longer part of my talk today is going to be about the Islam in Russia and in history, how it was happening, for example, what type of the difficulties Muslims were passing through in this Islamic history. We have to take it from the positive side, and also we have to learn from the past. I mean, because even when we are looking at the Quranic view of the giving historical stories, this is all about the listening from the past and the taking lessons. So this topic, Islam in Russia, was always, since I am a Muslim, I am a Tatar, Kazan Tatar from the city of Kazan, from Russia, and for my entire life, I was living not in Russia. So always people were asking from me, where are you from? And when I said I am from Russia, they were so excited, asking too many questions. And such kind of questions were always forcing me to study about the history of Islam in Russia. So today, especially today, this topic is attracting many people because Muslims are a minority there, but their number is substantial. There is not the exact number of Muslims who are living in Russia, exact number, but for example, the Grand Mufti Rabil Ghanidin is saying 25 million Muslims are living there, and the others, the government is saying more than 14 million. So this is the big number. This is number one, significant, why the topic is significant. And number two, because of the current happenings in the world, especially related to the international politics and the balance of power issues, and also petroleum politics. Always, this topic was always very important. And also, as I said, this is the very unique case to study. And also, especially for the Turks, for the Turkey, the Muslims living in Russia were always of the great significance. I remember immediately after the collapse of the Soviet Union, the first people who started coming to Russia, especially to the city of Kazan, city of Ufa, other places, they were the Turks. Turks were coming and they started translating some books. And this is how we know about our past, about our the history. Even why I came first time, for example, to Islam, because my topic during my master's time was related to, I was doing research on Musa Jarullah Bigiev, and in Russia I couldn't find any information. I came to Turkey because this is the Turkey is always for us who are living Turkic people in Russia. Turkey for us is a library. This is the archive for us. We find all the material, and it's how the Turkic people living in Russia also, they are very willing to come here, and also your people also always are supporting us. So, and here also I just wanted to start from the map. Map is big, and whatever the city you are focusing here, not only in the Volga-Urals region, not only around the Moscow, everywhere you can find a Muslim in Russian cities, and not only the Muslim who are the converts or the refugees, but they are the Muslims who were living there for thousands of years, the natives there. And also, if you look into, I think that you were looking, when you look at the map of the Russia, always you understand. For example, Irtysh or all the Russian cities are all the names. Most of the names are Turkic, or you can find some kind of the science remaining from history, the Turkic or the Muslim history. So how I will try to speak with based on some data today. But you know, there are many difficulties in my talk. Number one is generalization, because here I will need to generalize. I will need to generalize because we are talking about 1,000 plus years of history and about many nations, about different, also the governments, and also but here usually I will focus on the Kazan Tatars, all the issues related to the Kazan Tatars, and also about the primary sources that are not much, especially for studying of this history before the time of the Catherine II, and also when we are studying also the topic is there are different narrations. And I don't know what narration you will prefer to listen here, but I will give my narration, then during question and answer time, we can discuss. And also, at the same time, I am trying to focus on the civilizational perspective and also the educational and intellectual developments. So let me give some historical information here. So always we say Russia has the comprehensive and the long-lasting legacy of Islamic educational structure and relations with other Muslim states. And this is how we study always Islam in Russia. We always divide it. This is the classical division. We study it by dividing into 4 periods. The first period is the Muslim rule period. So during this time, this is the territory, what is called Russia today, it was actually called by different names and different nations, different people were living there, and they were especially in the places North Caucasus and also in the Volga-Urals region, they were practicing Islam. And after this happened, I will give more information later. This happened, and it continued until the mid of the 16th century. And in the 16th century, the history totally had changed because these places became the part of the Russian Empire. After that, after the 1917, the Soviet regime will happen. Exactly, totally new approach to Muslims, to Islam will happen. After that, after the collapse of the Soviet Union, we are having totally different history. So it is, yeah, we generalize it, but at the same time, it's very difficult to say by one word how is the situation of Islam there, how is the approach in Russia, for example. Let me start from the first one. How did Islam reach the place? Actually, the historians mentioned the first place where Islam entered. It is the Caucasus region, especially the city of Durban, in the year of 654. But this is the Caucasus, North Caucasus region. This was based on the military campaign during the time of the late time of the Khulafa Russian, after that during the Umayyads time. But in the Volga-Urals region, the Islam spread by peaceful means, like by trade, Sufi order, and also education. And also later it became the developed education have independently. They were having many madrasas, and also the famous scholars were coming and working there. But how we can know about this history is based on the Ibn Fatlan's narration, and this Ibn Fatlan's narration, I think, is translated into many languages, and also in Turkey also they know about it. Many Turkish scholars were doing the research on it, so we can understand how the delegation was coming from the Abbasid Caliphate Muqtadir Billah, because the local king Almash, he wrote the letter to the Abbasid Caliph and asked to send some kind of some scholars and also some books and also some support engineers to come and spread Islam in the Volga-Urals region. It's how the Bulgar kingdom became Islamic state, accepted Islam and became the Islamic state. And later, Altan Orda, or the Golden Horde, was established due to the Mongol invasion in the year of 1242. Still, in the territory there was it continued being the Islamic hub and having the huge cities according to that time, for example, only the capital city, Saray, was having more than 600,000 inhabitants, and Ibn Battuta was visiting the city, and he wrote, one of the most beautiful cities about this Saray, full of people, with the beautiful bazaars and wide streets, and having 13 congregational mosques, along with plenty of lesser mosques. So from here, we can understand that these places were some kind of the huge hub of the educational hub with all the Islamic education, and also the school, not only schools, the masjid, and also many scholars were also coming, because in history scholars were visiting one place, coming, working there, and returning back. And this is the map. You can see how we can see it in between the Black Sea and Caspian Sea and up to the Irtysh River. All these places were the Islamic states, but the Russian principalities were on the top. After that, because of the epidemic, in the end of the 14th, and especially in the middle of the 15th century, a huge epidemic started in the world. So this is during the Golden Horde time, the Mongol rulers were coming in order to have Kurultay. But in that year, in that time, Kurultay was not possible to be called because of the epidemic. As a result, slowly they disintegrated this Golden Horde, and small Khanats emerged, like the Kazan Khanat, Astrakhan Khanat, Crimean Khanat, Siberian Khanat, and the Qasim Khanat. And these are how they were situated. And in one place is the Moscow Principality, and the Kazan Khanat also, you can see Crimean Khanat, Astrakhan, and the Nogais, and also Qasim Khanat also was very close to the Moscow. So this, according to the 15th, 16th centuries, then totally new page of history started in Russia in the mid-16th century by the occupation or the invasion of Kazan in the year 1552. Now the situation was totally different. Muslims who were ruling in these places, they became the part of the Russian Empire. And at the beginning, of course, this is how we usually study this time period of history, starting from 1552 until 1917. And we can generalize it. And yes, there were difficult times. All the mosques were destroyed, especially at the beginning, and the Muslims were not considered full citizens, because citizenship in the Russian state was given until the time of the Catherine II. Only the Slavic-speaking and Orthodox Christians were considered as the citizens of the country. Others, even the tax system was also humiliating them, and there was no possibility to get education, to go to Hajj. And this is another topic for to deliver the lecture. This is it takes long time if I will explain everything. So also the Muslims were not given permission to live in the cities or to build the mosques, to build the madrasas. All were destroyed. Christianization, Russification was continuing. But interestingly, history is something beautiful. It never, in this life, never continues forever. So everything had changed. Catherine II came to the rule, and here also I am asking about how is the Catherine II, how she was changing the entire course of the history, because especially here in Turkey, in many books, I found that in a very positive way that he was very much the liberal reforms bringing, because situation was like this for Catherine II. It was the time the Turkish-Russian wars were happening, and 1774 it did start. So there was some kind of the difficulty for Russia, fighting always against the Ottomans were happening because of the Crimean issues, because of all the Caucasus region. And at the same time, Catherine was facing very difficult situation because of the revolt of the Pugachev. The peasants were revolting, and most of the army of Pugachev was consisting of Muslims. So they invaded Kazan, they occupied many places which were the part of the Russian Empire. So Catherine II didn't have any chance except giving some kind of possibility for Muslims to live in the country. And what did happen? Firstly, the Holy Synod was giving the not the declaration, some kind of the legal, the order that Muslims have rights to practice their religion. So it's the toleration of different faiths. And also Muftiyat was established in order to administer Muslims, the Muftiyat or the spiritual board of Muslims in the city of Ufa. And it was going to Orenburg, again going to Ufa back. And also the Muslims were given permission to establish waqfs. And from this time, Islam started again flourishing. Then the third period, after the third is the first one is coming until the October Revolution. And immediately Jadidism started, some Islah and Tajik movement, and many Muslim schools were open about what I am going to speak now. And I think this picture, you can recognize this man is known because of the Turkish brothers and sisters were studying him. And this is the Professor Topaloğlu also came to Kazan to speak about him. This is how we meet first in Kazan. After that here, this is Musa Jarullah Bigiyev. I think Mehmet Gürmez was writing the master or the PhD thesis about him, and also the PhD, isn't it? In the PhD thesis about him in Al-Azhar University. And also his wife also was translating some of his books into Turkish. So all of his books were kept reserved here. This is the Musa Jarullah Bigiyev. There are many other names. Musa Jarullah Bigiyev, Yusuf Akshura, Sadri Maksudi, Ismail Gasprallah, and many other names which are very much related to your history. So these were the product, all of these scholars were the product of the Islah and Tajik movement or Jadidism in Russia, because of the reforms what I was speaking earlier brought by Catherine II time. And this is number one. Number two, only Catherine II's reforms perhaps were not capable to produce such kind of the strong movement, educational and intellectual movement, but everything was changing in the world already. It was a time of after the Industrial Revolution, and the printing press was also the easy transportation. Now, before this time, Muslims were not capable to go somewhere, even for Hajj, I mentioned to you, and also for educational purposes. Only few people were capable to go to Bukhara or the Central Asia and some madrasas to get education from the entire territory. But later, because of easy transportation and also of course the reforms, they also became now listed as citizens of the country. We can just in the modern terms. So they were capable of traveling and getting education, getting new ideas from other places, and they also started coming to see the territory of the Ottoman state, like the Istanbul, of course, and the Egypt they started going, and also the Mecca, Medina. It's why during this time we are observing also the shift from the Persian tradition. Before all because the Benazir mentioned that I was working in Germany. Actually, I was in Germany. My research was related to the Tatar translations in Imperial Russia. So of the Quran in Imperial Russia. So I studied how many the scholars were interested in translating Quran into Tatar language during the Russian Empire time. And I found out that because of this Jadidist movement, many scholars became interested in translating Quran into Tatar, because most of the tafsirs were, of course, in Arabic, which were used in the region, and also the Persian ones. But from that time, everything have changed. No more the influence continued coming from the Persian world. Others also the interesting people, because time is coming to the short, right? Just I wanted to mention here some of showing some of the pictures for the Tatar people. Really is the showing like the proud of the Tatar nation. Like here you can see the Mukhlisa Bubi. And very strange, I mean, the very interesting, also the dress at that time, because educated, I don't know how it was happening in the Ottoman culture, Ottoman state here, but in Russia, all educated women, when they were finishing the madrasa, most of them started wearing the qalfaq. They call it the qalfaq as some kind of symbol of getting education, started also during this time. And also it was happening also for this movement for women's education, and others started. Actually, women were getting education always among the Tatar people, even in Caucasus. I was, as a historian, I was considering that in Caucasus, women were not much given permission to get education. But interestingly, very recently, I found from the sources, the government sources, that the 10.6% of female population in North Caucasus were getting education before October Revolution. So for women, always the education was provided. And this woman, Mukhlisa Bubi, she is famous because she established the first girls' madrasa in Ishbubi in the year of 1897. And actually, the many madrasas were also established. And for example, Ayaziz Khaki said in the 1860, 408 maktabs were serving the Tatar populace of the empire, which amounted to 442,390 people. So this is the how, again, we can see from here how although there was no possibility for Muslims to practice their religion, within the course of a very short period, everything had changed. Especially when October Revolution of 1905 happened, also Muslims got possibility to become the part of the decision making in Russian Empire because of the October Manifesto, and Ittifaq movement started. And here I am giving the picture of the Abdurrashid Qadi or Abdurrashid Ibrahimov, who was also the related to Abdul Hamid II, if I am not mistaken, and Abdurrashid Ibrahimov, he was writing the Dawra Alam and how about all his traveling, especially for me it was interesting, very much interesting how he was writing about the society in Indonesia, Sumatra. He was coming to Sumatra, to Japan, and Korea also, and also Singapore. These places because I was studying it, and also of course he died in Japan. So one of them, and Ahmed Agha is the Azri. I put this is the scholar thanks to the Benazir and also the Ayaz also. These are the Azriyas. If one of the centers for education, for cultural, such kind of the happenings were happening in the Volga-Ural region, other center was happening also in Baku. Baku was also one of the very important centers for Muslim education and became the part of the Russian Empire also during that time. And many about the book publishing, about them, many newspapers were published during this time. If I'm not mistaken, it's the 52, by the title of 52 newspapers were published in the Old Tatar language only. So this is we can see for the Renaissance for the Tatars happening here. And also one party was established called the Ittifaq al-Muslimin Party, and they were having the All Russian Muslim Congresses starting from the 1905 until the year of 1907, and they became some of the delegates became the part of the Russian State Duma, and participating until the year of the 1916 in different Dumas, because the one Duma was organized after the 1905, and then the Duma was the result. Another one Duma is something like exactly the parliamentary system for the other countries, and educational reforms, the printing press, journals, newspapers were also happening. Then relations with the Ottomans, if we will look here, some names also I mentioned also about the newspaper Yeni Kafkasya, first published by Azerbaijani immigrants living in the Republic of Turkey, including Mehmet Emin Rasulzada and Abdullah Battal Taymas, Ayas Isfaqi, and the many names we can mention. How the relations were always happening. Then October Revolutions happened. During this October Revolution time, the main slogan was peace, bread, and land. because these were the most needed necessities for that time. Russia was having, Russia was having war with Japan. After that, the First World War started. And the people were tired of the fighting. They wanted to change the country. They wanted, not the country, they wanted to change the life conditions. And they were tired of the war. It's why this slogan, peace, and also the bread and land was working very well. Muslims didn't take part in the revolution at the beginning, but later they became the part of the government. They became, they collaborated because they also needed to eat every day. They needed also peace and they needed also land. So they were integrating together with this new government at the beginning. But everything, especially during the Civil War times, but unfortunately during the Stalin time, everything had changed. The Stalinist assault on Islam and Muslims, usually we call it, all the mosques were closed and also educational institutions. For example, 14,500 Islamic educational institutions were closed and the 26,000 mosques were closed. And I remember, because I was born close to the end of the Soviet Union already. And we had only one mosque in the city of Kazan. It's the Merjani Mosque. It was very small mosque, but it was kept. Actually, it was kept because of when the delegations were coming from Muslim countries, they really wanted to bring the delegation from Muslim country to pray there. But unfortunately, most of the people, they didn't know, the praying about Islam. There was no opportunity to learn about it because the Muslim religious scholars and imams were liquidated. And also everyone became the Russian Soviet citizen. And also the nationalism was very strong at that time. Then it did continue until the year of the 1989. So what we can learn from this history? I just try to give very general idea, as I mentioned to you, because the topic is difficult to focus on one specific issue. I try to give, until the collapse of the Soviet Union time, very general idea. Just to remember, all of you have the information, especially for the Turks. In Malaysia, everything will be, the new when we are talking to the audience. But here, most of you know about the history of Islam and Muslims in Russia. So, or the main question is what we can learn from this history. Then, Qibla, changing of Qibla for Muslims. I like this picture. Just look at it. This is immediately happened. There were no mosques, after the collapse of the Soviet Union. But people started praying, and here is the sculpture of the Vladimir Lenin, and he is showing what is the communism is the very close, like the Qibla, isn't it? We have to go there in order to achieve the communism. But during the place, people are making sajda, they are praying. Maybe it was the Bayram Namaz or something, the prayer. And people came because this was the only available place, because this is if I'm not mistaken, this is in front of the parliament in Tatarstan, in the Kazan. But I am not sure. It can be in any Russian city. So people, Qibla changed for Muslims again. So Qibla changing this side, after that other side. In one time is Islam is the official religion in this region, official religion. After that, again, they became totally not having any rights even to practice Islam. After that, again, becoming the place with all the flourishing of the madrasas. Women are opening the mosques, opening the madrasa for girls. Everyone is getting educated. A lot of the newspapers are published. And after that, immediately the country changes, the regime changes. Soviet Union happens. During the Soviet Union time, again, no one is speaking about Islam, no one is speaking about Muslims. Then again, Qibla changes, and this is how is the situation today. So Russia is the secular country by its law on freedom of conscience, but the strong religious values are there. If we are looking at the Russian politics, or even this, not the politics, all the talks of the political talks, they are always referring to Orthodox Christian values. At the same time, if also in the talks related to Islam, to the Islamic values, and these four religions are considered the traditional religions in the country: Orthodox Christianity, Islam, Judaism, and Buddhism. There are three organizations which are administrating Muslims in Russia. They are not united. They are three, sometimes are also competing. And two of the muftis you can see here. Number one is the Russian Council of Muftis, Soviet Mufti of Russia, headed by Ravil Gainetin, located in Moscow. Another one is the Central Spiritual Board of Muslims of Russia and European countries of the Commonwealth of Independent States, and this is the one which was established by Catherine II and continued until today, is the head by the Talgat Tajikin, also on the picture. Unfortunately, I forgot to put the picture of the another one, the Coordinator Center of Muslims in the North Caucasus. So these are the three muftiats, and there are, if I'm not mistaken, 83 or 82 muftiats in Russia altogether. These are three are the main top ones. Others are maybe regional ones or the smaller ones, and somehow they are existing together in peace. Sometimes, you know, it's very interesting to observe. They are not much, they are collaborating, cooperating, existing, and they know their own territory and administrating Muslims. Administrating Muslim population, which is about starting from the 14 million, as I said, up to 25 million Muslims are there. Exact number we don't know. And the issue of the Islamophobia, this is when we are talking about the minorities, always the question will start. Are there the cases of Islamophobia or not? Islamophobia is happening everywhere, but in the Russian case, it's more xenophobia and racism cases in the mega cities, like skinhead attacks in Moscow, St. Petersburg, because they don't care about the following Islam or the other religions or Buddhism. It is more related to the ethnic appearance, and also related to the migrant workers, especially because the labor migrants in Russia are huge in number, coming from Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, and they are always attacked in the Russian cities, but not much in Muslim majority regions. Yet strong objection of building new mosques happen in Russia. This is one of the cases when you will ask from the Muslims, what is your main problem you are facing today in Russia as the Muslim population? They will say, mosques are not enough for us. It's why after all the Bayram namazes, there will be the many pictures they are sharing how Muslims there are praying when under the sun, under rain, or during the snowy, the cold days outside. So this is one of the problems they will say. This is usually there is the state objection and also the public objection to the building of the new mosques, especially in Moscow, in the Russian cities. And media narration of Islam also happens. These are the common issues. What about Islamic education? Only a few slides state, okay? What about the Islamic education? In Russia, there is the Russian Federation adopted new federal law on education, and many amendments were done, but today religion is taught at schools in Russia. There is the course called the Fundamentals of Religious Cultures and Secular Ethics, and it is started being taught at the grade of the 4th grade, 34 hours in total, in all Russian public schools starting from September 2012. And Fundamentals of Islam, one of the variations. So the kids, they have possibility to choose the subject related to Islam or related to Judaism or Christianity, but most of the kids, especially in the Muslim majority these regions, they are choosing the secular ethics to study, and also all religions together. Advanced level of education is also there are many Islamic universities, institutes like in Moscow, in Kazan, Ufa, and Chechnya also. There are in Dagestan, there are hundreds of madrasas, a lot of such kind of the schools also there. And also this is also very interesting. What I found, they also, actually what is happening in modern Russia, many things they are copying, I think, from Turkey. Now, you have ilahiyat also as a part of the discipline acknowledged by the government. It was always happening. And also the Russian government very recently acknowledged that the theology, Islamic theology, supposed to be the part of the secular curriculum. And they started opening the faculties in the secular universities. These are to study the Orthodox Christianity theology and also the Islamic theology also. It became the part of the, like ilahiyat here also is happening in Russian, many universities, like in Moscow, in the Kazan Federal University, Ufa University, Ural State Mining University, and Pyatigorsk State Universities, and also trying to bring the positive change. So these are all what I wanted to give to you to refresh the idea about Islam in Russia. Now we can start the discussion and get the detailed things in the discussion time. I try to keep the more time for discussion because here I cannot focus on everything. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I guess we have here. Start passing the microphone. But before that, if I may, I would like to ask some questions. Oh, okay. First, we will have.
Thank you very much for your wonderful presentation. I have two questions. First of all, a historic question. You talked about the period of Catherine II, the famous ruler of the Romanov dynasty.
Mm-hmm.
And we know that in the long Ottoman-Russian war between 1768 and 1774, Ottomans were defeated severely.
Mm-hmm.
And as the result of this war, we signed the Küçük Kaynarca Treaty, etc. One of the articles of this treaty was that the Muslims of Crimea were to be tied to the Ottoman Sultan, and Ottomans were to appoint a Bash Mufti, chief Mufti to Crimea. I wonder whether we have information regarding the influence of this Bash Mufti in Crimea or in the outer regions of Russia, because you said that Catherine also created a Muftiate, an institution of what was the relations between the two chief Catherine, let's say. My second question is that you said that in modern Russia, secular ethics course was more widely elected by the students by the Muslim students. Why Muslim population elect not courses on Islam, but rather secular ethics?
Thank you. Thank you very much. So I am trying to focus on the first question. This is related to the Catherine II time and also the Rus, the Ottoman, the Turk, Russian. I don't know, they are calling it differently. Russians try to say Rus, the Turk wars, and from the Turkish side, because we are trying to put the Turkey first, or the Ottoman wars, and the Muftiyat. Yes, this is very interesting point. You know, I was also very much, because Catherine II war, during the Catherine II war, as I mentioned at the time, immediately everything had changed. And usually people try to explain it always. Catherine II was from Germany, and she came from Germany in order to change entire situation in Russia. And it is how she is explained from a very positive viewpoint, especially in Europe. I have seen such kind of interpretation in the books written by the different European scholars. But your question is also, it was also my question. I was always thinking, why she agreed to establish such kind of the big institution for Muslims there. not only the giving, the giving possibility, giving freedom to Muslims to practice their religion is one thing, but if you are establishing such kind of the muftiyat or the spiritual board, you are recognizing their existence in the country. This is big political move. Then I started also the reading some of the sources. I don't remember exactly what the sources. I found some kind of also direction into the Küçük Kaynarca, all this is the details. Then I found that there are also not only that one, there are also some kind of the direction for her that she has to give permission to Muslims living in the country to practice their religion and to be also administered by the administration, Muslim administration. And Muftiyat was established because of this one, that for the Kazan Tatars too, not only the Crimeans. Actually, there is the mentioned one in the text of the Küçük Kaynarca is only related to the Crimean Tatars. But during the discussions were happening for a long time, this situation of the Kazan Tatars were also mentioned. Kazan Tatars were always writing to the sultans of the Istanbul, and they were asking to help them always, to send some kind of the help. And it started during the time of the Selim II already. And it's how the Selim II was trying to establish some kind of the dam. If you remember, the dam in the places for Muslims to camp, to be able to go to Hajj through the Astrakhan. If you remember from the history, I don't remember exactly, but unfortunately he was not able to finish it because of many other happenings. In the Western European side, or we can say the Eastern European side, related to some wars of the Ottomans. So it is why Tatar Muslims Kazan Tatars were always complaining. I was showing also in my presentation that there were always some relations, complaining, writing letters, sending their people to study, young people here. For that reason, always they try to find some solutions. And during the Küçük Kaynarca time, the issue of the Kazan Tatars was also raised, and the Catherine agreed that they will be also given possibility to establish Muftiyat. And it was happening almost the same time. This Muftiyat was published first, only then in Tabrida, other Muftiyat was published. There some different years. The first day for the Kazan Tatars, and later for the Crimean Tatars was established the Muftiyat. I think a second question is the secular ethics. Why Muslims like to study secular ethics? This can be related to two possible answers. Number one, Muslims, they don't like to study about Islam. It's possible, all right? Second one is the very interesting possibility. Muslims are not given possibility to study about Islam. I just recently spoke to one of the directors of the school in Moscow, is the Initiativa school in Moscow, and he said that he interviewed many Muslim parents in Moscow, because Moscow has up to 2 million Muslims in Moscow, and they are not sending their kids to study the fundamentals of Islam. Parents are willing, because when they are finishing the third grade, they are given, when they are going to the vacation, kids are given one piece of the paper, some kind of the paper, and they are writing the name of the parents supposed to fill the form, and they have to pick what course they are willing to teach to their kids about Judaism or Islam or secular ethics. But parents are choosing that the kids are going to study Islamic ethics or Islamic religion. But unfortunately, when the parents are giving the paper to the school, mostly the principals in schools are saying that there is no one to teach Islamic religion to kids. So, but we have the secular ethics to teach in the school. So this is the bureaucracy, the clear bureaucracy that at the school level, they are not willing to teach kids more about Islam. and this is not much related to Islamophobia, but this is related to the money issues. In order to teach about Islam, they need one more teacher at school, one more salary. It's why they are trying to keep everything at the minimum level, and they found there is a law, but law is not working, what I can see. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
I think that in Russia, they also have a big problems with the curriculum. Because, like you mentioned, that there are lots of muftiyats, and also Islam not homogenic actually in Russia. It have different sects. They have different mazhabs, different understandings, and it is hard to get just one huge curriculum for the students. And this is also what they are actually working on.
Yeah, true. This is also related to the different, is the not only mazhabs, there are different schools. And Russia is very interesting, in Russia. There is the freedom for religion and they can practice, but what is the religion is definition is given by this muftiyat. What is the true religion? In Tatarstan, for example, I know more about Tatarstan, the Republic of Tatarstan, and they are having traditional form of Islam, traditional for this region, and the Maturidi Aqidah, and also the Hanafi Mazhab. But these are the Maturidi Aqidah is also the very general, but there is the very specific one, and they also in other places is totally different. So in Russia, although they are capable to collaborate, they are not clashing, but at the same time, each region have their own unique understanding of Islam. This is also one of the issues can be. So when the kids are, for example, the sent coming from the Tatar, the family, they are sent to the other places. They want also their kids study about it. Might be, and also my first option that the Muslims they don't want to study about Islam. This one is also true. They don't want to study about Islam. This is also true for many families. For many families, if we are looking at the statistics, how many from these 25 million Muslims are considering themselves Muslims? And also the practicing Islam is very, very small. In some places is, yes, bigger number, 50-60%. According to Kazan Tatars, I hear up to 2% of them practice and they consider themselves as Muslims. Others is just cultural on the national level. I mean, the nationalism only, I mean, the ethical, the side of the sign of the Islam is only shown.
Do we have any other questions?
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you for your talk. I wonder about the situation of the Islamic studies or Muslim studies today in Russia. Also, you just mentioned actually. You also mentioned about the Russians just now, about the Russian situation, and most of them, they are more ethnic identity rather than being practicing Muslims. So in terms of the effect, is there like any effect of the Saudi Arabia or Turkey or other countries on the Russian Muslims in today's Russian or Soviet countries, let's say, or Turkic Muslim countries?
Yeah, I understood your question. And I already mentioned that immediately after the collapse of the Soviet Union, Turks were there to open the schools, to with the translations. When Soviet Union collapsed, the situation was very interesting. We know, for example, I can speak about myself. I have seen in my life, I have seen one piece of the Quran. The one page. I can see only one page. And in my neighborhood, one lady was having it, old lady. We can see Teyze. And she was having the one page from the Quran. It was the beginning of the Tabarak Surah, is the Surah Al-Mulk, and she was keeping it inside of her mattress. So we know only the female old lady was having this one piece of the Quran, something like very holy thing. No one except her were able to keep even one page from the Quran. Situation was like this. We didn't know what is praying, what is namaz, how many times we have to pray. I experienced this one myself because I was at the very young age. And still, when we are a very young age, we remember everything in the childhood, isn't it? Exactly all the details, you know? And she was always closing her window in the night, in the Aksham, after the Aksham of the Thursday evening, and reading that one page, because she was capable to read this Arabic. When she was old, she was going to madrasa. She learned how to read this Arabic, all the script, and she was reading it. Nobody knew about it. I was small. I was always in her house. I was always investigating, trying to find something. I found this one page, and she took the promise, and I promised her that I will not tell anyone about it, because it was enough to kill someone. So this was the situation. And after that, you know, when the Soviet Union collapsed, we did not know about Islam anything. The Turks came, and there were some, you know, now I started thinking, who were bringing Islam to us? These were some educational institutions about what we don't talk at all now. There were a different type of people. Then the money started coming from Saudi also. The Wahhabi style of Islam, what we call always, started coming also. I mean, this Islam, different types of the Islam entered into the country, like the Islam which was practiced in Syria, for example, in Azerbaijan, for example, in Uzbekistan, or in Turkey. Different types of the Islam influence was there. Because money was coming, government didn't support, and the madrasas, the mosques, the first ones were opened by international organizations, and they were, of course, bringing their own the explanation of the Quran and explanation of Islam, and these books were translated, and alhamdulillah, because of these people, we know about Islam, and we are very thankful to all of these people. Then when the government established itself, they decided that they needed to have their own interpretation of Islam, which is suitable for that region. Then Muftiyat started working, opening their own universities, institutes, and the madrasas. And unfortunately, all the earlier books were banned. The banning of the books, I didn't mention about it today here. A lot of the books are banned, including even from the Turkish ones. What are the? Bediüzzaman Said Nur says all books are banned. It is considered extremist literature in Russia. What are the else? Some tafsir books are banned. Some hadith books are banned. And I'm not talking about this is the strong ideologies. Even the simple ones are a lot of them. And because of the muftiyat or someone found they are dangerous for the population, Muslim population in Russia, because these are ideas coming from outside. Whatever coming from outside, everything was banned. And even this very, what is the tariqat? Is very the polite one. Tabligh Jama'a. All are some of my classmates. What we were studying about Islam in Malaysia together. They return back to Russia. All of them are sitting in the prison now because they follow the Tabligh Jama'a. They were communicating, inviting people to Islam, because doing da'wah is prohibited in Islam. You cannot do da'wah. Only the imams inside of the mosque can invite people to Islam. And I mean, there are difficulties, a lot of difficulties for Muslims. And all institutes, there are more than 100 different high level of the institutes and the universities and madrasas exist in Russia. They all need to get accreditation from the government. And this accreditation, getting of accreditation is not easy. And there is a lot of the bureaucratic stages and I mean the different ways, sometimes the bribery, sometimes other things are happening, and they are all trying to survive and to give education. And the young people are studying about Islam, they go to the madrasa, study, and all this I mentioned about ilahiyat, isn't it? These are mostly in the secular schools, and also Bulgar Academy established in the Tatarstan to give the higher education, but it's just now I found that it is also the teaching curriculum is not accredited at the moment by the government. So it is accreditation is the most difficult issue in Russia. Not only in Russia, in Kyrgyzstan, in Kazakhstan, in Azerbaijan too, they cannot be accredited. So accreditation, why it is very important? Because when you are graduating from this any madrasa without accreditation, you are studying there for 4 years, but after that, since your madrasa is not accredited, it is not considered something like the lycée or the lyceum or some kind of the college, you cannot enter into the university because, and also that you cannot find job. Such kind of difficulties are a lot happening to Muslims there.
Also, I think I think there is a problem that how can we say, imams or muftis, they are sponsored by the communities actually, not all government, not all government all the time. I mean, it is also a problem for them.
Yeah, it was. It was. The Benazir is mentioning that some of the imams are sponsored by the community, and it was before. Now it cannot be. All
But
supposed to be
now
accredited.
imam is not of the Jama is not accredited. He's not also has the
No, they cannot.
Yeah,
It
they
did happen
cannot
also in
have
Crimea,
football.
you know, after this, especially after the Crimea, because earlier it was possible. Now Jamara is coming. There is a Jamara. They have their own mosque. These mosques are built not by the governments. These are built by the community, by the Jamara, by Mahalla. Mahallas or the villages are building their mosque. After that, these muftiyats are appointing some imams to be the mullah. They call the mullah or the imam in the mosque. But not all the time is the community is willing, they're happy with the mullah, with this imam, and they again appeal to the government. And these muftiyats are a part of the government. These are working under government, under all the salary of the government, and it is normal for me because all the Muslims are taxpayers, and it's why they have to get such kind of structure from the government too. But unfortunately, people are sometimes not happy with the imam. They appeal. Especially, it did happen in Crimea after the Russian invasion of Crimea in the year of 2014. Many imams were appointed by the government, by the communities, and these imams were even considered some kind of radicals and put to prison because they were acting, they were working without permission of the government. So they have to get the permission now because this is the new rule. They cannot work in the mosques. I mean, they cannot just come like here to like imam. I want to be imam today and this, just with the prayer. This is not happening there.
Thank you very much. Hello. Thanks. This was a very extensive and full throughout analysis of the history of Islam in Russia. I have 4 questions very quick, so I don't want to bore anyone. The first question is, you mentioned with regards to a certain time period where the Second Catherine, we don't have the sources of their law, if I'm not mistaken. That's a really broad timeline. I was wondering if, for recompensation of this kind of sources, is there any historical antiquity with regards to the Western Byzantine tradition and the Latin Christendom in a way that they shed light, and whether you were able to conduct the research, would they appropriately or
Like Marco Polo,
accurately,
yes.
portray the historiography accordingly? And the second question is very quick. You mentioned that in one striking slide where Musa Jarullah took up the process of the vibrant theological activity for translating the Holy Quran, the commentary of the. Now, I would like to know if you would interpret this as a force of a political movement based on Turkization, Islamization, and whether this was by the force of right enlightenment. And the third question is, you mentioned at some point that there was a certain diversity of the community, but different schools of thought from both parts of the Islamic world after the ultimate liberation of Islam to a certain point. What is the confessional ground of the Muslims in Russia? And that goes into the line with the understanding of the sectarian diversity. So, for example, is it like the unanimously Sunni community? You have Shia, and what is the intensity of having this potential intra-faith community experience it? And the last question, you really did not much of make a reference in terms of the Russian Muslims, the converts. Would you say that Islam is the fastest growing religion in Russia as well, like in the West? And to what extent the percentage of the Muslims would constitute from the born and raised Russians or the born again Tatar Russians? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for these very interesting questions. I always try to make my talks very general because the questions, the most interesting things came out during the question and answer time. Thank you very much. All four questions are very interesting about the sources. There are actually sources are available, especially the German sources. Some German travelers were also coming, but they were interested in other things, not in the life of Muslims during that time, especially related to the Bulgar kingdom. Because after the occupation, or the Russian colonialism, we can call colonialism or invasion of Kazan, especially Kazan, all books were burned. I mean, they were not only the books, the women were burned there because Christianization was happening, exactly like in Muslim Spain. Even in the 19th century, some of the women who were forced by force Christianized and given to the Christian husbands by force, and some of them were sent to the monastery to study the Christianity, but they didn't, they wanted to return back to Islam again. Sometimes they were praying or taking ablution or ghusl in the secret. They were found and they were burned. It was happening even in the 19th century. Today, I just wanted to give to you a very positive the side of the Islam. So such kind of things were happening even after. There were many things were happening. We are talking about huge territory and about 1,000 years what did happen. So yes, from Germany were coming, but from Muslim countries were also coming. Like I mentioned about Ibn Fadlan. How we know about the Bulgar kingdom today? In the Volga region, the Bulgar kingdom, what did happen in the Volga region? We know about it from the books of the Ibn Battuta, how they converted into Islam. This is number one. Number two, Ibn Fadlan. Number two is Ibn Battuta. I mentioned about the city of Sarai. We know from the writings of the Ibn Battuta. Gharnati was also coming. And some other travelers were also coming and they wrote about it. There were some travelers, but inside of Russia, they were not known. And some are still in Arabic and not. There are millions of manuscripts in Arabic are not studied today. Thanks to the Orientalism, some of the books are available today. Because Orientalists were interested in some specific topics, they translated the books. But they were the much bigger people like Ibn Khaldun, much bigger than the Imam Ghazali, for example. But we don't know their works because Orientalists were not interested in it. But we Muslims are not translating, we are not interested in studying these manuscripts, unfortunately, today. So there are some sources. These sources are also available in Arabic. I don't say that there are no sources at all, but inside Russia is not available. Number two is about the Jarullah and about his writings. Actually, he wrote many things. He also translated Quran. He said he will translate Quran. Even he was writing to Mustafa Kemal Pasha also in the year of 1926. He sent one copy. According to he was writing Murajaat to him and sending one copy of his translation to him to publish here because he was not able to publish it in Russia because Muftiyat banned it. He finished the translation, not only him, even there was another person, Mutari. He also translated the Quran, some parts of the Quran into Tatar, and these were published in some of the newspapers they started publishing or in the short versions. But it was not the government was banning these books. The Muftiyat was banning it because they said having independent interpretation of the Quran is prohibited. all supposed to be getting, they get some kind of accreditation or some kind of the approval from the Muftiyat. It's why these translations of the Quran can be explained. This was the public, such kind of movement started from the time of the Abdul Qursawi time. Even the before the Jadidism, Qursawi was translating the Haftiyak Sharif. And after that, there was a Nu'mani was also translating entire Quran. Actually, it was not related much to nationalism at the beginning. It was too early for Tatars to have the nationalism. We are talking about the early 19th century here, about the Qursawi. But they said most of the people among Tatars, they don't know Arabic. They didn't know Arabic because there were no madrasas, not much madrasa, not much education also happening because of the situation, political situation. It's why some scholars said at least very short version of the Quran, some parts of the Quran supposed to be translated into native language in order to make it available to the public, that they will understand what they are reading. This was one of the reasons. Later, it might happen because of the, is the Turkifying the people from the going apart from the Arabization about the Persian literature. I also mentioned there, and it was more related to the also the things happening in the Ottoman state. Here there was a lot of influence were happening. It's the long one time you can invite. I can give different lecture about it, inshallah. So after that the sectarian diversity. Russia had always sectarian, the differences, Shia Muslims, Sunni Muslims, and they were not having much difficulties, especially even in Dagestan. Some of the Dagestani people are following the Shafi'i Mazhab, some are Hanafi Mazhab, some are Shia Islam. They are, because they were having bigger the other side, the others, like they were having the Orthodox Christians. It's why Muslims were not much fighting within each other. Even today, with the 52, 53 muftiyats, they are capable to be united and to work together because they have the bigger things to achieve. I think this is one of the reasons for it. And about what was the converts, Russian converts. There are Russian converts. I know also many of them. There are in both sides. Russians are converting to Islam, and Muslims are converting to Christianity, even much bigger because the half of the Tatar girls are getting married to the Russians. It's always going on. This today is at the global world, all the information available. It is everywhere is happening. And yes, the Islam is in number is rising in Russia. It is not because of the more kids or not because of the converts. It's happening because more people are coming from Muslim majority countries as the labor migrants from Azerbaijan. We have a lot in Azerbaijan, a lot of business people, a lot of educated people, engineers, doctors from Azerbaijan. It's around 1 million in Moscow, right? Only Azerbaijani people, Azeri people around plus minus 1 million or 800,000. It's big. And also from Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan, are a lot of them coming. And we can see number of Muslims in Russia during this Bayram Namaz time. Everyone is coming, they show off. Other time is not much visible. Is not much visible. Is the Cuma namazı Müslümanlara, we can see or the Bayram namazı Müslümanlara. Always this in many places happening like this. Still, because of even such kind of difficulties, Islam remain in Russia, and this is the big achievement. We can see is not only achievement. This is the feeling happy for it that I have been to Palermo, Sicily. Sicily was under Islamic rule for 300 years, if you know about it. I didn't find anything from the guide. I was asking, do you have anything remaining from this Islamic past of the country? She said no, except in the column of the church, there was written something similar like La ilaha illallah, but it is already distorted. Nothing. But in Russia, alhamdulillah, we have 25 million Muslims still. still they were able to maintain, to be strong, to have the organized system, we like it or not, like muftiyats, because without bureaucracy, it's not easy to survive today within the nation states today. This is the structure for the country, structure of the ruling today. Thank you for the question.
Any other questions? First, please, hocam.
I am çıkmadı mı?
Çalışıyor, evet.
Şunu mu?
Evet, evet.
I am very happy to meet with you, Elmira Hanım, again in Istanbul. Yes, you said, as you said, we met before 20 years ago in Kazan. It was a conference about Islamic civilization. I am very happy again to listen to you about these issues. Just I want to ask about war between Russia and Ukraine. Both countries, I have connection as you have connections, and France. What do you think? What do you feel?
About
Especially in both army, there are Muslims. Yes, it is a political issue, but it's very pity.
Alhamdulillah. Okay, Alhamdulillah, there is no responsibility for women to go to the war. This is my answer. And actually, yes, I wrote the. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much. This is the. I was asked also to write for the. Every year we write about Muslims in Europe. The Brill is the publishing yearbook yearly about the situation of Muslims in European countries. Every year for 16th time I was writing about Russia on that topic, and because the war started, and I was in the middle because I was living in Germany at that time. So in Germany, a lot of demonstrations were happening, and a lot of I got a lot of information. And the Ukrainians were also coming, the refugees to Germany. And at the same time, I needed to go to the city administration, the Rathaus, they call is there, with my passport. I was embarrassed even to show my passport, to show that I hold Russian passport. I was walking embarrassed. So I was inside of it like this. It is wars are happening, wars are ending, but the friendship with people always remain. Unfortunately, these wars are affecting Muslims also. This is my main concern here. Because since I mentioned this, all the muftiyats are part of the government, they all support the war. Russian war in the Ukraine, they all supported. Some supported silently because not saying anything is also support. Nobody was against it, and since they are paid by the government, this is normal for them. They did what they're supposed to do, and Muslims are very much. I was visiting Russia. It's not easy for me to go always to Russia. I try not to visit much, but I visited Russia in last August, and every situation have changed in Russia because it's the war situation. People also their life become difficult. You can understand the situation, and people and Muslims are organizing some kind of support for Russian soldiers from the other side too. Unfortunately, this is very sad situation. Very sad situation. We will see what will happen, but still is not good for the difficulty, but it's out of our control. It's out of control.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So if we don't have any questions, I would like to ask Rıza Yorulmaz, General Director of Cihannuma, to make his closure speech. After that, we will have a gift ceremony for our professor.
Muhterem arkadaşlar, biraz eğilmem gerekecek herhalde. Şimdiden hoş geldiniz. Misafirimize çok teşekkür ediyoruz bu aydınlatıcı konuşmasından dolayı. Ben biraz Türkçe konuşayım da dengeyi sağlamaya çalışmışım. Eksik olmayın. İstanbul Forum çalışmasının ön hazırlıkları bağlamındaki bu programla birlikte 4. programını tamamlamış olduk. İnşallah nasip olursa bir iki tane daha Ahmet Hocam herhalde ön hazırlık çalışmamız olacak. Ama asıl katkıyı, asıl yoğunluğu inşallah 13, 14, 15 Aralık 2024 tarihlerinde yapacak olduğumuz İstanbul Forum programında saklamaya çalışıyoruz. İnşallah o programa hep beraber güç vereceksiniz, el vereceksiniz ve çok başarılı bir program yapacağımızı düşünüyoruz, ona inanıyoruz. Şu an gönülden çalışıyoruz. Yaklaşık bir seneye aşkın bir süreden beri devam eden çalışmalar son düzeye doğru geldi. İnşallah 2024'ün son yarısında, son ayında İslam dünyasının dünyaya neler vaat ettiğini, neler iddia ettiğini ortaya koyacağımız güzel bir çalışmayla birlikte inşallah bu çalışmaları taşlandıracağız. Ben katılımınızdan dolayı hepinize çok teşekkür ediyorum. Allah hepinizden razı olsun. İnşallah sonraki programda da buluşmak dileğiyle. Allah'a emanet olun.
This is the end of the program. Thank you very much for coming.